Morning, everybody. My name's Ron. I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not. I'm just a guy who was fat and wanted to lose some weight. And was looking into all these different methods, and carnivore seemed to fit me pretty well because I've loved meat my whole life and never had much use for vegetables. But I also loved my processed foods. I was much more of a beer and nuts kind of guy, salt than the sweet before I started this thing. But I'm 91 days in, and the results are pretty undeniable that not only is this a good way of eating, it's a healthy way of eating. It's a much better way of eating than I was certainly eating before with the standard American diet. I'm early 50s. Started this thing at about 280. I'm 5'6", so that's pretty fat. Now I'm around 220, or 215, which is only sort of fat, and on my way down from here. I don't expect to stop, although I am going to try to, over the next 30 days or so, add a couple of things back in. So anyways, let me get to the main points that I wanted to make. So my health issues in the past, I've had a diverticulitis, which actually ruptured my colon, and they put me in the hospital, and we're going to do surgery, but over the course of the night I was there, that it healed up or whatever, so they ended up not having to do surgery, thankfully. But when they did their scan, basically I have diverticulosis peppered throughout my large intestine rather than down concentrated in this area. I forget what they called it. They had a medical term for it. I've had that diverticulosis. I guess one of the big impetuses behind the weight loss in general was I had Bell's palsy in January of this year. And the cause of that is still, nobody really knows what the hell causes it. Could be a number of things, but either way, it was a kind of a kick in the butt that I've got two daughters, 20 and 17, and I want to be around and not be a big fat lob that can't play with my grandkids or anything like that. So I decided to give carnivore a try. The first thing I would say, it's a word of warning. I wouldn't start this directly from the standard American diet the way I did, unless you're really, really determined and willing to pay the price, because the first 21 days were not good. They were, I felt better as, I sort of lost, because you lose a lot of water weight. So I lost 15 pounds the first 2 weeks. But I was brain fog. I was, I didn't have, like flu symptoms or any of that, but I just felt like all the time. And digestively was going through some stuff that I wouldn't wish on anybody. So, you read around and watch, other videos. There's lots of people that talk about how to do that the right way. But if I had it to do over again, I probably would have done it a little more incrementally. Except I'm pretty hard-headed and I'm either on or off. So if I was off, then I was off. And if I'm on, I got to be on. I know there's lots of folks like that. I've heard from them. Who is it? Steak and Butter Gal. She's very much like that. And it's funny because I'm a musician as well, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, as you can probably tell from my little background here. But that sort of personality, and I find that pretty common among carnivores, not necessarily the keto gang, but that I just think that's interesting. Okay, so my top benefits that I've noticed off of this, and they're undeniable. They're more than I thought, and weird and varied. So the top one is weight loss, of course. You lose 50 plus pounds, and your whole world changes. It's different from when you look in the mirror. I don't hate to look in the mirror for a change. To you just feel better. You just have a lot more energy. You just everything sort of rides off of that. One of the main things that happened, I'm a guitar player, and I was getting to the point where I was experiencing some tingling in my fingers when I'd play for 20, 30 minutes. And I'd have to kind of work around that. And I'm not, I'm sure it was blood pressure or something. Like I say, I'm not a doctor, but it all went away within about 45 days. So I don't know if that was weight related, blood pressure. I know a lot of stuff has been changing. All right, and next thing was my skin. had, and I know a lot of people say this, but boy, did it change a lot. I was like, I didn't take my shirt off because of, not only was I fat, but I had, back acne and just, it was gross. It was not, it was skin I was not, like happy to lay next to my wife with, so that has changed dramatically, and others were actually the first to point that out. My mom looked at me like, I don't know, 50 days in, and she's like, boy, your skin has totally changed. And if she says that, that's, moms are always looking to compliment, but my mom is very straightforward and honest. And next thing up with that in mind, skin tags. And I've heard other people say that. I thought they were full of shit, to be honest with you, when they talked about it, but they are. Several of them have disappeared, and several others are smaller. I don't know what'll happen over the next 6 months or so, but they did totally change, and they're shrinking and going away. The next was, it's just clear thinking. It's and this could partially be I quit drinking at the same time as part of this low carb thing. But I wasn't drinking 12 beers a day. But it was a couple of drinks every day, and I just noticed that for whatever reason, and I think it probably has as much to do with the diet as it did the booze. My thinking is very much clear. The first 3 weeks were ridiculous. I had 1 week though where I felt like my IQ must have been like 50, because boy, I just things that would come easily to me a month prior, I was like, oh. But coming out the other side of that, it's been pretty fun and enjoyable, and even from a musical perspective, being able to think further ahead while you're doing a live performance, those kinds of things that are just cool stuff that I've noticed. Next up is nails, teeth, and hair. My hair is, I'm not losing my hair like a lot of people say. It was always fairly thick, but it had grown sort of brittle. And that feels just completely different. Even when you kind of run your fingers through it, it just doesn't feel so, it feels smoother, I guess, My nails, when I was cutting my nails before, when I was eating, the standard American processed food crap diet, when I'd cut my toenails, and I have that toenail fungus, I'm not going to take my shoes off because it's still pretty nasty. But that is improving. But when I would cut any nails, my fingernails, my toenails, the pieces that I cut would just split off. And if I cut, because I cut my big fat hands with toenail clippers, so when I would clip those fingernails, it would actually just, the pieces would fly off. And now they don't fly off. It actually cuts around to a single little piece. So they're more pliable or something. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's pretty cool. Teeth, I've got bad teeth. I abused myself for most of my life, and still need, some dental work, but I was having tooth pain, that kind of thing, before I started this, and all that tooth sensitivity has gone away. Even my teeth, even though I still love my coffee and I'm going to drink my coffee, and, don't make me feel guilty about drinking my damn coffee. I gave up a lot. But even if it stains my teeth, they're still nicer than they were when I started, believe it or not. I'm not ready for American Idol or anything just yet, but at least they look reasonable. All right, next up, my digestion has been markedly better. Like I said, I had diverticulosis. I was just not I was a regular going to the bathroom guy, but it was not a healthy, it was very loose all the time. It was, voluminous. It was not good. And now things are just better. And I haven't had one episode of diverticulitis or diverticulosis or any feelings like that in my gut even. I haven't even really felt bloated other than those first couple of weeks. My mood has been better, although I'm still crabby. I'm just, I'm a cynical, aggravating person to deal with in the first place. So I still struggle with being a little crabby and short with people from time to time. But overall, my kids and my wife say my mood has been a lot better and I've been much easier to deal with. This next one is a big one. It's actually one that it's a complaint that people have about carnivore. They say that it's too expensive. And what I found is that as I've learned more and more about this, that my per day food costs have gone from about $35 a day down to about 12. So I'm spending a third as much because I'm eating one meal a day, and you're not eating snacks in between and all those kinds of things. So when you're spending, if you want to eat a $12.99 a pound ribeye steak, if you're only having one meal a day, you can do that and still spend $15. It's not like, oh, you're eating ribeye steak every day. Yeah, you are, but if it's your only meal, you can afford ribeye steak. It's not, and you still have all those cheap options. There's days when I just eat, a pound of hamburger with some bacon and cheese on it. I do. I always thought the paying attention to your body stuff was kind of bullshit when I started this, but now I don't think that anymore. I think it's pretty impressive how it's worked out for me. The ninth thing, and this is a complaint that people have, but I love the food. I mean, I know that it's limiting. Of course it's limiting. You're cutting out, 2/3 of what people eat. And a lot of what they say is healthy and good for you. But to say it's limiting is just, it's because you're not investigating enough. Between eggs and all of the products that are out there that are made of meat. Hell, I was working in the kitchen the other day trying to figure out how to make a cracker out of hamburger and pork rinds. Use your imagination and have some fun with it. But it's not limiting in any way if you like meat. If you're somebody that has to have your fruit and your berries and your this or that, maybe keto's not the way for you. So people get healthy other ways. But I'll tell you right now, my brother-in-law said this yesterday and I thought it was perfect. He said, sugar is poison and carbs will kill you. That's pretty much the truth. So I'm getting to the point where once I feel like I'm at a weight, where I am comfortable, that I'll start, maybe reintroducing some things here and there, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I like it now and I don't really miss those things and I don't find it nearly as limiting as some say. And the last thing that I want to mention as a positive is just increase steady energy and endurance levels that aren't tied to food. It's not a matter of, okay, lunchtime is coming, I'm going to go eat some lunch and then I'll have some energy afterwards. And, none of those afternoon times where you're just, after you eat a sandwich or a burger or something with wheat and bread in it, or, bread of any sort, honestly, within an hour or so. A McDonald's meal with, a burger and fries, I'd be ready for sleep by 1:30. But I don't have any of that anymore. So there's my top 10 positives, along with sort of a little bit about my history. The negatives are bad breath. You can get bad breath, and sugar-free mints aren't as good as the other ones. And you still want to try to kind of limit those artificial sweeteners just because they're chemicals, not necessarily because they take you out of ketosis or mess with your blood sugar or anything like that. But just because they're man-made chemicals and aren't exactly natural. So I do, I notice it in myself every once in a while. I just get somebody back and leg. And my 17-year-old daughter, who lacks the social skills to be nice, says, "Oh my God, Dad, I can't wait till your breath doesn't smell like meat anymore." So I laughed at her and said, "Get used to it." All right, now the second, most of these are related to those first few weeks, where if you start this from a standard American diet, you're going to have these almost certainly. Some are keto flu, some are just, your body is really messed up. To adjust is hard. All right, the moodiness, digestive issues, brain fog, sleeping problems. Like I said, I had those issues for the first 3 weeks. After that, sorry, I'm out here in my garage and there's a little mosquito that's bugging me. And the first 3 weeks was that way in varying degrees. First couple days it got, progressively worse, and then for a couple weeks straight it was pretty tough. Even though I felt better, more energy and that sort of thing, I still was having these issues. Next up, you miss out on some social occasions because so much of our social occasions are centered around eating. And when you're in this part of it where I'm really just trying to lose weight and get healthier, I don't want to expose myself, to the possibility. So for a few months here, I've, had to say no to social gatherings and that kind of things. They don't serve anything, it seems like, at restaurants that are, not vegetable oil based or fried in something, or, that sort of thing. So we missed that a little bit, although we were never huge. We like to eat out, but it's not, we're good. We both like to cook and are good at it. And then the last thing I think is I get sick of explaining as soon as you say carnivore, people, and not everybody, but 9 out of 10 people, when you're explaining it to your family and stuff, they just, you have to explain everything out and why you believe it's healthy, and, explain why you did your research and that you're not an idiot, and, all those kinds of things. But I'm able to, there's so many good resources out there. Dr. Ken Berry, Sean Baker, Bart Kay can be a little acerbic, but he's certainly very knowledgeable. There's a lot of good resources. Steak and Butter Gal, I just mentioned earlier in the thing. Those are all good, knowledgeable folks. Some are anecdotal experiences like mine. Some are interviews. Some are, Dr. Judy Cho is another one who I've been watching. Nutrition with Judy. She's great. She makes me laugh. My tips: educate yourself. Don't go into this blindfolded. Don't, because you're going to get a lot of advice from people, and most of it's going to be friggin' bullshit. So if you don't have yourself firmly convinced, you're probably going to fail. Second, don't think this is a quick fix. I am looking at this as a lifestyle change now. I'm not planning on ever going back full time to carbs, to that standard American diet. Am I going to probably have, a half a slice of cake, or, some, I don't know, pizza is one thing I miss once in a while. Yeah, we will. My wife makes the best chocolate chip cookies on the planet, so we're going to eat that poison at least once a year. But we're going to do it, once we reach our goal weights and under the guise that we're, under the premise that we're going to immediately return to the proper way of eating. Take charge of your own health. You can't, the medical establishment, doctors, nurses, all that, they're well-intentioned and they do care, but there's a mindset, there's a whole structure set up that's sort of forcing these guys to give you a rote answer, even if it's not in your best interest. So there's, like I said, use the people that I mentioned and go out on your own and check it out, educate yourself. And my last piece of advice is you better be 100% committed and positive that you want to do this before you do it, or you're going to fail. Because every big change like this takes willpower and determination, and you really got to want it. So in my case, I hated myself enough to want to like myself, and I really started to like myself again, and when I looked in the mirror, I just wanted to be different. I wanted to be around for my girls, and I wanted to be around for my grandkids, and I wanted to share my experiences with folks. So thanks for watching. There's my 91-day carnivore review. I'm going to finish my coffee now and get ready to go to my day job, building I think I'm sheetrocking today. Peace out.